What's up, everybody, and welcome to another video. In today's video, I have something extremely exciting to show you that I received not too long ago. This is a new balisong in my collection, and you might very well recognize it. This is the Benchmade 42S T-latch. The S stands for serrated. So it is the serrated version of the Benchmade 42, and it is the T-latch variant, which you can tell by the way the hole pattern is. The spring latch variant has sort of sunken in holes. I forget the exact term for it off the top of my head for some reason, but yeah, the holes are more sunken in, whereas this thing is kind of flat along its face. So, countersunk, I think is the right word. The holes on this are not really countersunk the way they are on the spring latch. But, yeah, I have a real Benchmade 42 now in my collection, which is, of course, very exciting. Everybody loves to have a little Benchmade 42 in their life, and I am no exception. I have been really enjoying it, truthfully. It's been a really fun addition to the collection, but it comes with some opinions that I think are important to maybe talk about and express, because I think the Benchmade 42 is both overhyped, underhyped, and just misunderstood in general. So what do I mean by that? Well, the biggest thing with the Benchmade 42 in general is that it's just not the best balisong. Like let's be honest, okay? The Benchmade 42 is a very good balisong. It changed the game in terms of what was available and what was flippable, and it's honestly wild to me to consider that like the Benchmade 42 is still as good of a flipper as it is today, right? Because balisong flipping has changed a lot since this thing was popular. Back in the day, most of everything you did was stuff where you kind of are holding one handle and, you know, manipulating it in certain ways, but all of the like really intricate tricks, especially tech, was anywhere in development at the time that this was released, right? This was released in the 90s and then it was discontinued in like 2010 or so. And it's just incredible to see it still be able to do a lot of the stuff that people like today. It means that they were really onto something. It has a pleasant balance, even compared to knives that exist nowadays. It's just very nice. It's light. I think that's something that's super important about the Benchmade 42. It is one of the lighter balisongs. I think it's somewhere in like the 4.2 to 4.3 ounce range, at least this T-latch variant is. And it's a pretty no-nonsense balisong as well. There are no bushings, and that is kind of the main drawback of the Benchmade 42, right? Is that the play on these things is just atrocious. I mean, look at this. It's pretty bad. And that's a pretty good tune on one of these. I have done a pretty good job tuning this thing, and it has terrible play. And then the handle, listen to this. Ooh, baby. Oh yeah, sounds delicious. That's how you can tell that it's an authentic Benchmade 42, because it has slap, which is one of the best checking techniques to make sure that you've gotten an authentic one and not a clone. You know, as long as it has that good, then you know it's good. So yeah, overall though, I truthfully like it maybe even more than I was expecting. It is quite a lot of fun to flip. It feels nice. I have had, I flipped Benchmade 42s before. I flipped the spring latch variant. I have a clone. Oh my God, there's a snake. Sorry, we must interrupt this program to bring you a snake. Where is he? Oh.
I heard a noise. I was like, oh my goodness.
Come here, you little creature. You're so pretty. The want to pick you up is so desperate, but I'm not going to. Look at this little friend. You might be a copperhead. Oh, I think you're a copperhead.
He is upset. I'm sorry
you
about
little
that, man.
I can't tell if you're a copperhead or a rat snake yet. But that...
It does look similar to a rat snake, but it's hard to...
Hello, friend. Hello.
There we go.
We have a friend on a stick. I'm gonna put you... Oops. Come here, buddy. Let's go to the woods. Let's go to the woods. You're gonna be my friend. All right, I could just pick his ass up is the thing.
Careful. What if he is a copperhead?
Yeah, good point. Yep, there we go. There we go.
There we go. He's on his way. He's got it.
Not on the trail. Oh, and he disappeared into the bush. All right, I don't think it was I think it was a rat snake, but
no,
anyways, Well, thank you, Prism.
No problem.
Fist bump.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Thank Prism for finding a snake. Very important. Very thankful that that got to happen in this video. I hope you guys feel enriched from that experience. I certainly do. Anyways, let's keep talking about the Benchmade 42. So yeah, I really do like this thing. I've been kind of impressed at how much I ended up liking it. I was not expecting that, and it's kind of exceeded my expectations to a good degree. And overall, I don't know, it's fun to flip. It's got a pleasant balance. It's got a pleasant, like, weight to it. It's not too heavy. It's not too light. It's just kind of right in the middle. And I can understand why this changed the game the way that it did. But I've never, like, owned an authentic one of these. I've owned a Benchmade 42 spring latch clone, but they don't really flip the same way as the original does. They were more worried when they were cloning them about getting the looks correct than they were about getting the experience correct in any way. And I gotta say, it is a lot of fun. It's a very good flipper. It feels nice. It performs well, but it's not worth the price. If you can get one of these for like $400, then I think that's worth it. I think I got this one for somewhere in the $600 range, which to me was worth it as a collector, but I would not say is worth it to most people. And if it's in like the $900 range, stay away. Don't buy that. You don't need that. It's not worth it. It will not bring you joy that is worth $900. I just guarantee it. It is not worth that kind of money, but it is worth less than that amount of money and will bring you some joy if you're the type of person who's into that. So it's a give and take. What I think is really interesting about it when I got this thing and started flipping it is there is one balisong in my collection that really reminds me the most of this thing. And it's kind of funny what balisong it is because I never thought about it until, you know, now. And now that I think about it, I'm like, huh, that makes sense. I genuinely wonder if that was intentional. And that is because the balisong that reminds me the most of the Benchmade 42 T-latch is the Squid Industries Tsunami, which feels like a weird one, right? Like, the Tsunami is a very different balisong than this. First of all, it's not even actually channel, it's just chanwich, but the actual construction of the Tsunami, the weight of the Tsunami, it all suddenly starts to make sense, especially with Lucas being like, hey, let me cook, when people were like, hey, that sounds really, really light for a balisong. And Lucas was like, actually, let me cook, because I weighed it, and this thing weighs almost exactly what my Tsunami weighs. And I was like, damn, that feels like that might have been intentional, especially with the balance sort of feeling similar as well. So, other people might disagree with me on this, but in terms of the experience of a Benchmade 42, I would say the Tsunami does a shockingly good job of at least representing the T-latch variant, which I think is really cool. I think that is awesome because, wanting a modern Benchmade 42 has been a thing for literally forever. People have wanted a modern version of this knife since the hobby began and this thing stopped being produced, because those two things, the hobby actually gaining mainstream traction and the Benchmade 42 stopping being available, coincided way more closely than they should have. And so I just think it's really interesting that specifically the Tsunami, of all things, feels the most like this experience, except obviously it doesn't have the levels of slop that this thing is. The Tsunami feels like the most refined version of this I could get. Now, does it have the same sort of stylistic, qualities that this doesn't? No, not at all. The Tsunami is a completely different stylistic experience. So depending on what you're into and what you like, that's going to be very dramatically different. But it at least has a very similar experience flipping-wise, which I just think is really interesting. So, yeah, very big fan of this guy. It is weird because I will admit it's kind of changed my flipping style maybe a little bit. I am learning to flip better, obviously, as people have been commenting. Thank you very much for noticing. I appreciate y'all. But one thing I've noticed with this is because it is sloppy, right? It is, like, there's nothing you can do about that slop. And I think that's actually maybe really important to the experience because it makes you kind of let go and be like, you know, I have a lot of time that I spend kind of fussing with my various balisongs where I want them to be perfect because I know they can be, right? I want my Tsunami to have 0 play and the best tolerances. I want my Cracker-Akin to have the best tolerances, or my EPS Wraith or whatever. You know, I spend time tuning these balisongs and fussing over it and stuff like that. And with this, I don't. You know, I fussed over it when I first got it, and I cleaned it and stuff like that, but since then, I've just been using it, and there's no reason to fuss over it because it can't get any better, and even though it has all of this stuff, it has really bad play, and it has terrible slap and all of that, it still flips great. It flips awesome, and it feels awesome to flip, even though it's janky, and that's given me a new appreciation for jankiness that I just don't think I had before. And I wouldn't say that that's like, it's like awesome, because like there are, you know, real physical problems that come from that. For instance, I don't know if it'll come well on, or come through very well on video. I'm going to try getting into like some bright light here, but the blade is all kinds of scratched up. Like this poor blade has eaten some real scratches, and the reason for it being all scratched up, especially on like the swedge and the tip and stuff, isn't because I've done anything wrong. It's literally because I'm flipping it. Like, because it just guaranteed has handle slap. It also has handle rub, or the blade rub, sorry. The blade is going to rub against the outside of the handles as it comes into contact with them, and that's just going to cause all of these scratches and wear. So there is a level of like wear built into this balisong that is frustrating, especially as a collector. You know, there's a reason that collectors don't let you flip their Benchmade knives that they want to keep pristine, and it's because literally just the act of flipping them does ruin their collectability status. Like, because they just have blade rub out of the box, there is nothing to be done about the fact that they're just going to be ruined by that, right? Like, that's just kind of funny and sucks at the same time. So there is a reason that like better tunes are useful. But at the same time, if I learn to not care about that, which I have elected, this thing is a beater balisong for me. Like, even though it is a historical artifact, there are people out there keeping these in historical, pristine condition, and that's not what I plan on doing. Do I plan on intentionally destroying this thing? God, no. But if I am flipping it around the town and I drop it on concrete or a rock or whatever, that's okay. You know, I don't want to like break it or really damage it, but I'm gonna be less you know, trying to keep it perfectly safe and protect the anodization or whatever, right, that I do with some of my other knives. Which, to be fair, I'm not a safe queener anyways, but like, in general, I like my Tsunami I'm a little more precious about. You know, I will drop it, but I try not to drop it on concrete if it can be avoided. And sometimes it can't, and that's okay. But anyways, yeah, I'm just, I like it. I'm a fan of it. I like the Benchmade 42. I think it's been a good balisong to like have, and I think it's taught me a lot about flipping. It carries momentum in an extremely pleasing way, similar to my Tsunami, and I think that's been a good, like, it's been nice to have another knife that can do that, because, you know, there's not a lot of knives out there that kind of match that thing. There's a reason that the Tsunami, when it came out, was pretty unique flipping-wise, all things considered. So, yeah. Overall, Benchmade 42, very good knife. I would suggest it if you get the ability to buy one for a good price, but I would definitely not suggest buying it if it is extremely expensive, because there is no reason to do that. You will not get the benefit or the, you know, experience out of this that you're wanting. It is good, but it is nothing. Like, if you're going to spend $750, just get a Tsunami. It will be better in literally every way and give you, in my opinion, a similar flipping experience, if not a substantially better flipping experience. You know, while I can do a lot of stuff on here, I will admit that it being sloppy does like mess up my technique sometimes. Not always, and I think it's actually teaching me better technique, but you have noticed how much I'm dropping in this video. And so, like, even though it is sloppy and I do mess up sometimes, the Tsunami is just, you know, completely smooth, completely perfectly tuned. Like, everything about it is just fantastic. And this, the experience of this can only so much stack up to what the Tsunami offers. The Tsunami offers a very similar balance profile while being just overall technically better in pretty much every way. So, don't spend $750 or $850 on one of these. Please just spend that on a Tsunami. But if you find one of these for like $600 or less, that's a pretty solid deal. And if you find one of these for less than $500, like around the $400 range, jump on that thing, man. That's a great deal, and it's worth having in your collection for around that much, I would say. But yeah, overall, this has given me a new appreciation for a lot of things. I'm very happy to have it in my collection. Just from a historical aspect, I've always felt like I needed to have a Benchmade 42 in my collection. It's like, you know, I'm the balisong YouTube guy. I ought to have one of the most historically significant balisongs from Benchmade in my collection, and I never did, so now I do, and I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed my little ramblings about this bad boy. And if you have any questions about the Benchmade 42, how I feel about it, or you want to express how you feel about it, or let me know how wrong I am for thinking that the Tsunami flips similar to the 42S T-latch, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinions, because that's what community is all about. Anyways, I'll see you squirters later. Peace.